Welcome to The Thing About Witch Hunts. I'm Josh Hutchinson. This week we recognize August 10th, World Day Against Witch Hunts.
I'm Sarah Jack. Today's guests are the ones who created it. Their labor never pauses. Across continents and down to the single village, they work to weave enduring bridges of understanding and healing, joining advocates, communities, survivors, and victims in common cause.
We are honored to welcome Sister Lorena Jenal and Jörg Nowak. Sister Lorena is a Swiss Franciscan sister of divine providence who has given 47 years to Papua New Guinea, serving the Southern Highlands from the Diocese of Mindy. Since 2012, she has rescued more than 420 women accused of sorcery in a single province, sheltering them at the House of Hope, a refuge she built with her International Weimar Award for Human Rights.
Jörg is a journalist with the German Catholic aid organization Missio, whose reporting and human rights research carried these women's stories out of the Highlands into museums across Europe and beyond. In 2020, he and Missio created what is now World Day Against Witch Hunts, observed every August 10th and dedicated to a survivor named Christina and to Sister Lorena herself.
Together, Jörg and Sister Lorena refused to let sorcery accusation-related violence stay hidden, amplifying the urgency of the crisis and naming it for what it is, a category of human rights violation the world was told no longer existed.
Welcome to the Thing About Witch Hunts podcast, Jörg Nowak and Sister Lorena Jenal. It is very special for us to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What should we know about each of you?
Sisters first.
Well, I am Sister Lorena. I'm for 56 years in my order, and I'm 47 years in Papua New Guinea, working first of all for education and family life, and since 2013 officially for the women who are accused of sorcery-related violence.
Okay. My name is Jörg Nowak. I'm a journalist and I work for the Catholic NGO Missio in Germany, in Aachen. And this NGO supports projects in many countries of the world. And there was an unforgettable situation in 2017 when I first met Sister Lorena in Papua New Guinea, when it was February, when we got the information that a woman is in danger, and we got into a witch process, or the torturing process. This really was a terrible event, but it started a big wish to fight against this and a big campaign.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what Missio is, how big a work it is, how broad, but also what kind of role and how big a role it's playing in ending witch hunts, and the expanse of its role against sorcery, accusations, and related violence?
Yes, Missio is a Catholic organization which supports projects of our partners in Africa, in Asia, and Oceania. And what is the great thing of this organization is that when we got aware of this new category of human rights violation, so that women are accused of being witches and that they are brutally tortured, what I really like very much about my job and this organization who gives these possibilities is that everybody agreed at Missio, we have to do something against this. And we informed other partners in other countries that we got aware of this human rights violation Sister Lorena talked about. And then suddenly, I never forget, in Liberia, there was a Catholic sister who said, oh, finally somebody talks about these problems, what we also have here. So we started to support projects in different countries of the world, in Tanzania, in Ghana, and in Benin. I think this was a great chance that Missio used the opportunities and the trust of the donors and also the possibilities of campaign work to start a bigger campaign and to make aware of a new category of human rights violation, which most of the people didn't know because they thought witch accusation is just a old fairy tale from foreign times and doesn't exist anymore. So I'm very thankful to Missio that we had the possibility to react and to do something against this. I heard a statistic of one of my colleagues that 6,600 people in the projects of Missio have benefited from these projects where witch accusation plays a role. So I think Sister Lorena is, for us, the important project partners, but there are others.
Thank you so much for all that work that you're doing. That's really remarkable how many lives that you've touched through this effort. What is the scale of witchcraft accusation violence in Papua New Guinea today?
Just to give you a figure, last year alone, we had 109 cases. And in 1 month, it was exactly mid of June till mid of July. We had in that 4 weeks, 10 cases, and 2 of the women died. And that was a moment, 8 we could save, 2 died. And to do that, when I was holding Anna 2 days before she died in my arms, and everybody walked around us with closing their nose and looking aside, she said, you have to go too, otherwise they think you are doing something very wrong. And I said, I will not leave you. I will stay with you no matter what. And I gave her a kiss on her forehead. And then she said, bless me, please. And I blessed her. She was a Baptist. And I blessed her. And this moment I realized that my whole dress, from the top of my neck till down to my knees, was full of, how do you call these things when the body's already decaying and you have all these insects climbing over you, an indication that the body's already decaying. And she says, are you not afraid? And I say, no, I'm not afraid, but I think we should ask God to take you as soon as possible home. It would be good for you that you don't suffer any longer. And it would be good for me that I can take care of the other 4 who are lying around us. And I went to light a candle, and I said goodbye to her. A couple of hours she went into the light. And there is not a single day when she's not with us. Her own sister, then Margaret, I could save. I could save her, but she had only 4 fingers left. And exactly this woman made that beautiful, with her 5 fingers, she made me that beautiful piece of art with her 4 fingers.
And you see it's a bag which they carry.
It's beautiful. The colors are beautiful.
The colors, and it's interesting that the background is black, the sadness, but there is the yellow color of light and the brown color of the earth that brings forth fruit is also in it. And she is integrated with her husband again into the community, and she lives more fullness of life. But of course, she visits us every 2 months. We have program. We will not keep these women just apart from us. They are part of the family.
May I add one information when you asked about the scale? So we heard the tragic death of this woman called Anna, who died last year. And she is just one of many women who died. In human rights research, which Missio will present in August, there is a statistic which says that we can estimate that in the last 20 years, 3,000 people, mainly women, have been killed because of this witch accusation. And when we take a look that only Sister Lorena in the last year, since 2012, has rescued 420 women in one province. And you said in one province of 22 provinces.
Actually, we have 24 provinces.
So this, we must be afraid that this estimated number of 3,000 women is too low. So, and we don't know what is going on. These people also know that this is a crime, what they're doing. They don't want that the people get aware of this.
Yeah, I think this story demonstrates so much for us. Thank you for the love that you gave her, Sister Lorena. Even at the end of this suffering, she's receiving what we all deserve. And thank you for giving her that blessing. I think it really illustrates how deep and physical the suffering is for women who are accused of sorcery. The violence they experience isn't something that's necessarily quick. They suffer. There's all the emotional suffering. You can see all the layers of suffering. And I think that when we look back at history and those that were accused of witchcraft, we see the social suffering, but there's a veil there. We can only really understand a little bit. And we can note today that the suffering is so extraordinarily awful and horrific. What from these types of stories, it helps us realize even more who gets accused and why is it these women?
That's exactly the amazing thing. It can be anybody. It can be a university professor, a woman who somebody thinks, why did she make such great success and I'm a nobody? And something happens which is irrational, unlogic. We call it absolutely, we don't understand it. And she can be accused of being a witch. She can be accused, she can even be tortured. I have a university professor we had to put out of the country. She's very successful. She's somewhere in the United States with one of the missions. I don't even know if she could be possibly in your tribe. I don't really know. She disappeared overnight to make sure that she's not dying. Thanks be to God, this mission people flew her to America. But the only thing I know is that she's safe, that she's married, that she has children, and that she's doing very, very, very well.
And I would like to add, I have the impression that it's very irrational what is going on there. And I never forget in 2017 when we rescued this woman called Teno. During the rescuing, I took a few seconds to talk to one of the torturers when we could get her out. And I asked this man with the bush knife, what is with this woman called Teno? Tell me. And he said, she's a witch, she's a Dracula, she's a vampire. So he took all the stereotypes which he got from somewhere to accuse a woman. And I think what is really all in common very often is that these people are looking for a scapegoat and they're looking for a victim. And I cannot get into the mind of these people, but I think somehow they are searching for someone where they can take revenge for something, be aggressive, be sadistic. And, when you accuse somebody, mainly a woman, to be a witch, then it is absurd that the situation goes the other way around. The people who torture say the woman who's the victim is the one who is guilty. So they have free hands to do everything with these women, mainly women, because they say we have created, and that, they don't say it is honest like this, but we say she's a witch, now we can do all the brutal things. So I think they can target everyone, but there are some common things like they need a scapegoat. When we talked to another man who lost his wife, I think during the 13th or 9th pregnancy. So if a woman gets so often pregnant, there's a high risk that there were some health consequences. She died. He was traumatized. And in his trauma and frustration, he needed a scapegoat. And the neighbor lady was the last one who visited his wife. For him, it was a perfect scapegoat. She must have done something why his wife died. He didn't thought about that 13, I don't know how many pregnancies it were many pregnancies, that this caused a danger. So he was looking for a scapegoat. He was frustrated. He needed an explanation. He needed a victim.
But I would like to do still, since this is my country and these are my people, I would like to make everybody aware, ourselves foremost, that Papua New Guinea in the Highlands was thrown into the digital age, artificial intelligence age. We have everywhere wars around us. And you could tell your own story of America, what America causes on suffering right now. And now can you imagine a country who was thrown overnight without their own decision? It was just thrown into that situation because of the riches they have in the country. Like we are the province with all the gas and with all the oil. And we are good profit for China, for America, for Russia, and you go on, including North Korea and so forth. And now the people can simply not cope with all of that. At the same time, we have polygamy. Our men have the right to marry 4 or more women if they have the money for it. And they are patriarchal. The woman is always less than the man. They are not yet in the age where we have the same rights for men and women. The woman is always the one who is under the man. Now, a woman has no rights to go out without telling the man where she's going and when she's coming back. He can go for 3 weeks and nobody knows where she is. He has simply complete other rights. And that all comes together and clashes together. And the young generation doesn't have enough possibility for schooling, for training, for jobs, to take well care of their own needs in their young age of dreams and visions. And so we need something to make life interesting. And then there comes the world of the media. Everything is within a minute everywhere around the globe. What happens in Iraq is watched in Papua New Guinea. What happens in portals and with selling women and girls and boys is coming to us. Prostitution, pornography, everything is everywhere. Already 12-year-old boys and girls who don't go to school, they watch all day long porno. And so who is processing all of that with them? Just to put us in the right perspective, to really feel sorry for our people that they are lost and insecure.
Thank you for this explanation. And we have been talking so much about the violence of men. I would like to add a man which you have introduced me to. It was a husband who tried to rescue his wife. At the end, he was successful. I saw him and I saw that in his forehead, there was like a hole. And while he was trying to rescue his wife, they were hammering a screwdriver into his head. And he was so much fighting to rescue his wife. And he needed so much courage. And I saw them sitting together. And this impressed me very much because most of the men there talk very bad about women. And they say, yes, they have to be tortured. And this man, for me, was a hero. It was an older man with something which raised my attention. And I asked, what happened there with your forehead, with your head? And then he was telling his story. And I was so thankful that you introduced me to my hero.
The remarkable story of courage. And you definitely show a lot of courage going into those situations. So thank you again for being so brave.
Thank you.
You had mentioned a study on the sexual violence that's related to these witchcraft accusations and sorcery accusations. What can you tell us about that study and who came together to do that research?
Yeah, I think the first initiative came by Sister Lorena, who always said, nobody is aware or hears how the women are suffering, and sexual violence plays an important role. And so Missio thought it is important to give a voice to Sister Lorena, but we need more voices. So we got in contact with some experts from 2 universities in Australia. One is Professor Morinda Forsyth, and we asked her from the scientific point of view to collect some information and some data. And we found out that we cannot talk generally about whole Papua New Guinea because we cannot ask everybody. But the fact is that in these areas where the women were asked about what happening, it fits very much to what Lorena has experienced, that sexual violence plays an important role. And you said that out of 10 women you take care of, up to 9 women have been victims of sexual violence. And maybe you would like to explain what is the first step or what happens to this women. And this was also the reason why we said this has to be known, and we need the voice of Sister Lorena and this university teachers.
First of all, every single woman I have been journeying with, I have been able to rescue. One of them is already 8 years with me. And she still says after 8 years, Lorena, the worst thing that happened to me was in the eyes of 300 to 500 people, including children, including police, including politicians. The whole village was there, and they completely stripped me naked. The only piece of cloth was used to blindfold me. Now, can you imagine? That's the very first for a woman. Sarah, we know as women, in front of people you have never seen in your life, in front of your husband, in front of your own children, completely exposed naked. This is so terrible for women that it takes ages to overcome that. That terrible shame, of course, we transform shame also into another side, and we try to do that as long as we can. But it's here. And then I told you the story of Anna. And I tell you that just to make you aware how deeply upsetting this is. When I discovered Anna, before we put her to the grave, she had cut both breasts. And that's why I explained to you that I was covered with worms or whatever you call it over my whole body. She was one of the women who was having both breasts cut with an axe. And that's more than torture. That is sadistic, that's cruel, that's horrifying, that's simply, in normal cases, if I would even be now in a group of 10 people, I would have difficulties to say that without breaking down, because it's so terrible. And then the hot iron going into the vagina, and the hot knives hurting the breast where we are most sensible, and all of that. And it would not be right of me just to say that, because We don't really know what happened with these men that they go that far. I only would like to say each and every one I have experienced who does something like that is on drugs and on alcohol. And they are paid for that. And they are just paid to get more drugs and more alcohol, to get rid of all their common sense thinking and of all the normal feelings we have as human beings. This has to be spelled out too. So thanks be to God, we have enough good men who fight with us. But this is for me as a Nandu. I need to say it because I say always, as long as I live, as long as I can think and stand and speak, I will speak for the women who cannot speak. I will be setting a sign of hope for women who cannot do it on their own. And that's why I'm sharing that with you.
And I think these stories are so terrible, but they have to be heard because we have to fight against this. We have to support Sister Lorena that she can help these women. And what was one important question for me in one of the chapters of this human rights research was the question, does this only happen there at the other end of the world in Papua New Guinea, or how is it in other countries and also in the history? And there is an interesting bridge also to Salem. And I think you also notice that these women in Salem, the clothes were put off and they were searching for what they call the birthmarks, but they called it the devil marks. So they were looking for some so-called evidences that these women are guilty. So there was even an art piece where you can see, I have to check what was the name of the author. Maybe we'll publish it in the human rights research, where you can see many people are standing around one woman and they are falsely undressing her and they're looking for birthmarks to say, oh, this is an evidence that you are a witch. So this combination of witch accusation and being naked, we find this through all history in the countries, also like in Germany. We have been discussing a lot about the German painter Albrecht Dürer, who created different pictures. One is where we see an old woman, but again naked, riding backwards on a goat. And very often you find the witch is naked. Sometimes she's painted old, like an old lady. Sometimes she's painted like she's a temptation, the beautiful woman who tries to seduce somebody and she's bad and this makes people angry on her. So also the famous tragic book, which is called The Hexenhammer. I don't know if you can translate it one-to-one into English, The Witch Hammer, written by a so-called Catholic who wasn't a Catholic, who described why women are bad and a lot of sexuality, absurd things. So it seems like in extreme forms, this combination of witch accusation and naked sexual violence have been appeared, in history from time to time and in different countries. It is something which does not come out in every country, not in every part of history, but it seems to be a terrible thing where men try to be so brutal against women and target on the feminine body parts. And so this is not only in Papua New Guinea. It's shocking, but it's not only there.
It is really sadly remarkable to see these threads across time and in these new situations that are a reflection of the past. Thanks for sharing that connection. Does this study also talk about who stands between these victims and the violence? Where are the police and the courts and the government? Is that part of the study or is that something separate?
Maybe first I tell what is written there, and then it's very interesting that you describe what the police and the judge are doing. There are some statistics that I think out of 100 cases, there have been only, I think, 4 cases which have been reported to police or where the perpetrators were accused. Sister Lorena knows very well that there were some policemen in the case of Christina who were bystanders who didn't protect her. So the police is very much involved. So this is still a big challenge that the police is, not seldom part of the system of the perpetrators. So there are some statistics about this, and there are also demands at the end of this human rights research that we need justice, that the police and the judge has to be supported stronger, because I think the experiences which you had were very frustrating concerning police, and you might want to add this.
Well, we have our laws, like everybody who can be proven, and we have proofs. We have the photos, we have the hospital reports, we have everything. We can also prove that thinking is irrational, not logic, forced on or wrong beliefs. We can prove all of that because we work with doctors, with nurses, and with professionals together. And I think I have already mentioned many times that we work holistically. We really work holistically. But when it comes to the law and to the human rights, we are nowhere. And this is because of the corruption, because of bribery, because of paying money that nobody tells the truth and all of that. But the law is there. And we know that when they do certain practicing, it's automatically that the police has to come and intervene. And for pointing, for example, just pointing without reason and without the proof of it, that this woman really killed somebody or is responsible for a person who died. We go immediately to the hospital and then we say, let's do a post-mortem. We would like to know, why is the woman really dying? And we know, for example, in Anna's case, it was an AIDS victim who died. But it has to be hidden that the person died of AIDS, because that's also not accepted. And so Anna died because of an AIDS victim. I was to rescue the other 4 women who were involved with Anna, and was 2 solid hours standing in the police station at Mendi with the commander and with the BBC there, till they went to rescue the other 4 women. And they were very angry with me that I didn't go before they went. And do you know, then they left us because we didn't pay them the petrol and everything else. But they are paid. We know how much they are paid for one rescue. So there is one thing to have a law, and there is the other thing to put the law into practice and to rescue and to save human lives. Of course, these police are also anti-drugs and alcohol and not well trained. And we know from history that even in the latest times, who is sitting in the jails innocently? The one who cannot pay, the one who doesn't have enough proofs, and the one who is afraid to speak out. So this is all these human weaknesses that are not going to help us, but we will fight till we are winners. And I belong to these people because we have proven, we have integrated, we have women who gave in between birth to children without complication and without anything. So they are like you and me. So they're just unfortunate that they were in the wrong place in the wrong time. And most of my women are strong ladies. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived the horror they are going through. So I believe and I work for improvement because we are all, without any exceptions, are born of a woman. We all have mothers. We all were nursed on the breast of a mother, even the Son of God. So, what gives us the right to do these terrible things in an age of artificial intelligence? It blows my mind.
So I really think we are making big steps forward. Also, we have to understand like the situation of the woman called Christina in 2012, when around 600 people are standing around and everybody was standing there. Oh, it will be so interesting to find out, is she a witch? What will happen to her? Nobody had the courage to do something against it, except some children who were running to Sister Gaudensia, a sister who works together with Lorena.
She's already in heaven. We cannot talk to her any longer.
But she had the courage to go there and try to rescue Christina. So you see, like it's written in the Bible, only the children, they understood. They said to Sister Gaudensia, "Sister, you have to come. They are burning a woman." So the children were the only ones. And Christina was also the one when I said at the journalist and the campaigner, "Sister, we have to do more, get more awareness." And this was the reason, because Christina, at the end, she played a trick with the tortures and could escape. And when I met Christina, I said, "Wow, what a power woman." She played a trick on this brutal tortures and could escape. I said to Lorena, "Can I try something?" And I have to first talk to the president of Missio. I did a lot of media work and wrote a lot of articles. What do you think if we create an international day against witch accusation? And first she agreed. When I have her green light, I go to my president and I said, "I have a crazy idea. What do you think about this?" And the interesting thing is, when we announced this International Day Against Witch Accusation, dedicated to Christina and to Lorena, it was in 2020, and it was spread around in the media. And also Sister Lorena celebrated this day. And there was 1 year when she gathered 3,000, was it correct? 3,000?
Last year was 3,000.
3,000. So it started with the shocking news. The village people, 600 people, are standing around doing nothing. And she mobilized 3,000 people.
Last year, but we needed the men to be so successful. I wouldn't have been so successful. I have also, in spite of being a white woman, I have to be very honest. Only Dr. Young could achieve the 3,000. And we went to him and said, "Go with our women and your women on the road, get the police in," and he achieved 3,000. Just to let you know.
And I think this is a very important sign for the society. And I think always Sister Lorena goes ahead, and it is always so impressive that Papua New Guinea, I think, is somehow her home country. She knows everyone there, and she receives so much respect. I think for the locals, it's more difficult. And this is really a big chance. And this is also the reason why she is so successful, because she has a lot of courage. She has a lot of respect. And, when you drive with her through the highlights of Papua New Guinea, everybody is waving, "Hello, Sister Lorena." And Lorena said, "Oh, I know when you were so little." And she knows everybody. And this is one of her, secrets, how to change the society. And it is amazing to see these women who have been cured, where she was standing at the bed at night and helping them, bringing to the hospital. And it is amazing to see how she changes the woman and brings them back to normality. And this is a miracle, and this is amazing what she's doing.
That's amazing. Were you describing like a rally of 3,000 people on August 10th that coming together?
That was in town. And even the police finally couldn't resist Dr. Jan. He's Polish, he's orthoped, and he is at the same time priest, and he knows everybody. And he also is working very closely with the Baptist Church and the Lutheran Church and all the other churches who surround him. He's also a man of the people. And he was successful and got at the end 3,000 feet. I have to give and this is again for me important to say, we need men and women, we need doctors, we need nurses, we need the law, we need absolutely everybody, we need the pastors, we have to cover everything, the financial, the emotional, the spiritual, the family, just everything, including the improvement of education. And our greatest success is that every woman who we integrate, she can choose what kind of project she would like to love with her family, but also with the village, that everybody is included in improvement. That because Papua New Guinea is people who work for each other and not individually thinking like us. They are always strong on what the others are feeling. And this is also great success that the woman who has been blamed, she goes and brings the improvement in her village and in her church, wherever she belongs to. And that's thanks to the women we can be proud of, including that in all these villages, we do alcohol awareness, we do sex education, and we have that all included to make sure that also we take care that we even have AA programs. So that's what I mean when we talk about holistic improvement. And I can, of course, only do that because I have so great a crowd of women around me who are fully cooperating. And it's a network. It's team working, networking, and being aware that one has one gift and another one has another gift. And together we are great. But everybody has something.
And tomorrow in Germany, in Cologne, there will be an exhibition where Sister Lorena also will speak. And these are the photos of these two journalistic stories, which I did with my photographer, Bettina Flittner, who was amazing. And what is so fascinating that now after we have been this year again in the House of Hope is to see these shining women who have been cured. And it is not anymore just the horror what has happened to them, but to see these happy end stories, how they have been cured. And this picture exhibition, it is the first time that I was part of a journalistic story which ended up in museums, the photos and the stories which we did. This was been shown in different museums in Germany and other culture clubs in Switzerland, Liechtenstein. And I'm still dreaming of bringing also this exhibition to Salem, to the USA, because this is also an interesting connection. This is also what we are telling in every place here in Germany, because everywhere you have this story. Here in Cologne, it was a woman called Katharina Hinold who has been killed, as which the Lorena will be tomorrow in a school, which is named after this woman, to not forget her terrible suffering. So I think this is a big chance to tell something about our history, the human rights violation in our history, and that everybody is welcome who is solidary with Sister Lorena or others who fight against these human rights violations.
Thank you. You received the International Weimar Award for Human Rights. What has that recognition meant for you and the community that you serve?
Actually, the Human Rights Prize gave me the idea because I was asked, what will the money be used for? And I say, my dream is to create a house of hope where I can have the women together and really work with them together. And we built a house of hope in an area which was in former days a sanctuary. And they had the tribal sites. This was an area where nobody could be attacked. So it was a real sanctuary. And so with the people together, we decided that is the right place to build a house of hope, to keep the traditional connected with the Christian and connected with the women. We are going to say as a historical moment for Papua New Guinea that will celebrate it even in years to come. And so in our place, we have no security. The people and the churches that surround us are our security. The people are our security. The people never will point a finger at somebody who is in the house of hope. And this is another great achievement we have.
Because this, Sister Lorena, is very clever. You found a special piece of land, which is a sanctuary, or how do you call it?
That's a sanctuary. Yeah. That's why we choose that, because we want give jokes to young men who are perhaps using it for alcohol over the weekend and for drugs. So we have the churches and the people as our security. Yeah. Right?
So I think that human rights awards are a big chance that the world gets aware of this human rights violation. I think there are so many. You talk to when there was the Jubilee of the Weimar Award, guests and former winners were invited. And I think everybody deserves this human rights award. And I think also for you, it was a big chance that the people in Germany got aware of this human rights violation, where the people said, oh, I thought this was just history. The same is with the International Day Against Witch Accusation, which was created by Missio. The Assembly of the United Nations, they always decide, for instance, when is the International Day for the Children or the World AIDS Day, etc. And at Missio, we were thinking, right now, the director is the German former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Annalena Baerbock. And we have the plan to write her and to make the suggestion that our International Day might get an upgrade. And we think it deserves to be a United Nations Day. I think you agree, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Professor Mirinda Forsai agrees. And I was also in Port Moresby to speak to the local United Nations, who also think it's a good idea. So this will also be part of the campaign to make aware of this, still hidden human rights violation, which has to be heard. And I already checked the other international days. The 10th of August is still free.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear this.
So we will keep you updated. Maybe also there will be a conference in Malawi where with other organizations who fight against this. And I think we will collect voices. And I have to think also to invite so great people like you that maybe we collect signatures and send it to the United Nations and say, this human rights violation wasn't on the radar, on the agenda. It needs attention. She can talk the best about this, and we will try it. And even by asking the United Nations, I think this still gets some more awareness. And we will see. Maybe next year, we will try our best. I think people like Sister Lorena and all the women there deserve more attention. They need more help. And we're trying all the best that they get this help and assistance.
Yeah, if it got that date designation from the UN, it would be so powerful. As you said, this is a hidden human rights issue and violation. And the journey that Josh and I and our colleagues here in the US have had has been this search. And for the collaborators, for the information, everything was hidden. Mostly the citizens in the United States don't understand what a witchcraft accusation is today, how that's playing out.
Yeah.
And one of the things that helped us understand the context of this and see this bigger picture was this date, August 10th. We found your trail through the internet of the work and the award, and it helped us realize, there is this large conversation. So our efforts to make conversational space around this topic with a podcast, it helped us see, we're headed in the right direction. So I can really see how powerful it would be for it to sit with the other days of recognition for growing
Yeah.
advocacy and awareness.
And even campaigning for this. And maybe it won't happen in next year, but then questioning again and ask, hey, listen, this is an important topic. It is part of our history. It is fact in 46 countries. And to get into discussion, also this discussion makes it aware. And like we see here, this connection between USA, Germany, Papua New Guinea. We go around the world, and this year again, we are close to the 10th of August. And I think we need these narratives which can raise attention, and we will keep you updated. And maybe we'll also check maybe to invite people to write to the United Nations or to shoot photos. We will be creative to help the sister and all the women who are free now or who are still suffering.
That's so wonderful. I'm glad to see the day taking off in such a way and the awareness getting spread around. It's so remarkable what you've been doing there. Yeah.
And the vision would be that we sit together and say, okay, now we don't need this day anymore. It is just a look back on the successes, because I have some hopes in Benin, where there are very successful projects, also funded by Missio. And we have this world map where we have mentioned the countries where people are in danger to get victims of witch accusation and discrimination. And it would be very excited to check, is a country like Benin now has become safer or safe? And look at the sisters. Can you mention again, how many women did you rescue since 2012?
120. But I'm still concerned of other people who are somewhere like Iran, Iraq, prison camps, and all of that. We still don't know what happened there, where we have also very much the men deciding what is good for women, or the men not respecting women, but owning women in every possible way. So I think we have a long way to go yet, but hope for me will never die.
Yes. You've mentioned a lot of ways that people are coming together and can come together to work together. Is there anything else that people need to know for action they can take?
And you ask what people can do to help. In this modern times, it's very easy to translate a website which has Missio created about this witch accusation into English. Right now we are still in German, but I think it's easy to do to the translation. And if you want, I can send you again this domain of Missio where all this information for this. And we really have also put now a little bit more the focus on the happy end stories, how successful Sister Lorena was really at the beginning. It was very much shocking to describe what happens. And it is amazing to see how fruitful her work is, and also of the other partners of Missio in Benin, in Ghana, Tanzania, and they all deserve attention. And when people are in the internet and go to our website, it's easy to translate, to click translation. And the Human Rights Report, I think, will also be translated into English. We are connected. Thank you.
Just think of us. That's the greatest support you can give to us. We need the spiritual and healing touch support, and you are both people of healing touch, and in that regard, you can help us a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was really excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Lorena Jenal and Jörg Nowak. You can follow the work through Missio and support Sister Lorena's House of Hope in Papua New Guinea.
You can share this episode and Sister Lorena's work across your social media and bring it into your conversations too. Most people still have no idea witch hunting is happening right now. The more you post about it, the more you talk about it, the wider the circle of people who know and who care.
Mark August 10th and help others learn why it matters. You can share our webpage, inwitchhunts.org/day, that talks about what World Day Against Witch Hunts is and why there's a need for it. Thanks for being with us. Have a great today and a beautiful tomorrow.